A good evening from wherever you're tuning in, and welcome to another edition of AFCON Highlights, where we bring you up to speed with the developments that are going on in the country of Cameroon. The AFCON tournament is currently ongoing and a lot of matches were played yesterday. Just to give you a bit of a spotlight into some of the games that were played yesterday, there was Egypt versus Nigeria. A very tantalizing match. The Pharaoh Kings were oversized, or they were beaten by the Nigerian team. The game ended 1-0 in favor of Nigeria. The other game that was played yesterday was Sudan versus Equatorial Guinea. The game ended 0-0. That's a conversation that we were having yesterday with my able analyst, who's a senior analyst of African football, that is Eric Shilenje. And he's joining me back in studio again to make sense of the activities that took place yesterday. Shilenje, welcome once again to this particular edition of AFCON Highlights.
Wow, thank you, Nation. It's good to be back again for another match analysis after what we saw yesterday, and the tournament is just picking up, and from what we saw yesterday, we expect that going forward we shall have some other good games.
Okay, so the key game that people were looking at yesterday, which we a bit sidelined because of the timing that was happening yesterday, was the Egypt versus Nigeria side. Going into that particular game yesterday, not many people expected the game to go in Nigeria's favor, but it was a good game. Nigeria won the game. What are your reflections on the game yesterday?
I think before the game, Egypt were clear favorites, maybe going by the history, going by their form, going before the match. And given that they've been very well organized against the opponents from West Africa, but yesterday they met a very different Nigeria, which was a very organized, very solid defensively, and they were very working hard going forward, and they gave Egypt a very hard time. And remember, Nigeria had just changed their coach. They hired Josep Peseira from Portugal just 2 weeks into the competition, and they were really feared if they are going to perform. But it seems he's a coach who understands the game. He knows how the North Africans played, and if you see how he lined up his team, even the experienced players like Ahmed Musa did not get a chance to play, and the players who came in really impressed, and I feel Nigeria made a very big statement going into the tournament. That we are here. Okay.
I think one of the phobias that I had going into that game, you've mentioned that the coach was hired 2 weeks just before the AFCON tournament began. And that kind of like took me back to when we were having the AFCON qualifiers, when the national team, that is Harambee Stars, got a change of coach just mid qualifiers, and we saw that what happened. We are not in the AFCON this particular time. So what does that one tell about the gelling of the squad? Do you think they have the team that have the impetus to take them all through the way to the later stages of the tournament?
I think for Nigeria is a team that competes on a different level. You can't compare it to Kenya, obviously, because of what they have achieved earlier, the kind of players they have. If you look at their squad, it's littered with almost like more than half of the team European players playing players. You could see how Wilfred Ndidi was controlling the midfield. We are having Iheanacho,
Kelechi.
Kelechi Iheanacho as the center forward, and those are players who play with each other week in and week out. If you see a player like Chikwueze on the right wing, Moses Simon on the left wing, there are players that play at a higher level, and I think they don't need a lot of time to gel or to come together and make a team. They don't need that long period, like if you compare to the likes of Kenya, that level. So these are players who can come in and fit immediately, as long as the coach is using them in the right way. So those are two different cases, and I believe if you are playing at a higher level, you are likely to gel in quickly, as opposed to teams that really struggle.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe our viewers, one thing that maybe you might have missed during the preparation for the AFCON tournament, or just a few days before the Nigerian team traveled to Cameroon. My analyst has mentioned Chikwueze, and just before Chikwueze flew out of Nigeria to go to Cameroon, literally the mom knelt down and prayed for his feet, for him to perform well in the AFCON tournament. And you're seeing the results, I guess.
I saw the pictures. They were really amazing. But again, this is Africa.
Yeah.
You know, this is what makes...
We still have the superstition.
Yeah, sure. It's what makes Africa Cup of Nations a very good tournament. And you can compare that to Sadio Mane. Sadio Mane had a similar case where there was somebody cursing him that he's not going to perform at the AFCON.
Yeah.
But now he shocked him by scoring the penalty.
I guess he's the one who's laughing all the way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Shilanja, quickly crossing over to the Egyptian side. One key name that I think maybe one of the reasons why people came into that particular game was to watch Mohamed Salah. So everybody was going into that tournament expecting Mohamed Salah to replicate the performance that he's having in the English Premier League. But apparently Mohamed Salah was nowhere to be seen in the game.
It is really sad that the best player on the African soil as of the moment in Mohamed Salah was really marginalized throughout the game. He wasn't given a chance. The Nigerian defenders, Kenneth Omero, was really gave him no chance. Actually, they manhandled him literally.
I think that's the right word to use.
Exactly. Yeah,
Salah was manhandled.
He was
properly.
manhandled properly by the Nigerian defense as well as the midfield. They didn't give him space. He was not allowed to get the passes that he usually runs to at Egypt. And it brings me to a point where I feel that Salah sometimes is an individual player. He's not a team player as compared to other top strikers, in a way that once you cut the supply of the ball to him, is likely to struggle the way he did yesterday, because he didn't get enough supply as he usually gets when he's at Liverpool, and that's why he could not even master a shot on target. So literally Salah was nowhere thanks to a good defensive organization done by the Nigerian side.
Okay. Shilenje, quickly as we wrap up the conversation on Nigeria versus Egypt, how far do you see Nigeria going into this tournament?
I feel if Nigeria play the same game that played yesterday, they've really shown the intent that they're in this competition to win rather than to compete. And for them winning against Egypt, one of the favorites, is a way to send a very crucial message to other opponents that we are here not just to compete, but we are here for a purpose. And going to the forward, I can see them as one of the favorite contenders of the tournament if they keep on showing the game they did yesterday.
Speaking of contenders for the tournament, that is Algeria. The defending champions were played yesterday. Were playing yesterday, and they were playing against a team that maybe people thought it was going to be a walkover for Algeria, but apparently they didn't win. That was Sierra Leone, and Sierra Leone versus Algeria. We have talked about that particular game. What are your reflections on that game? Were you impressed by how the Sierra Leone were able to contain the Algerian team?
For some point, yes, Sierra Leone were impressing. They did absolutely a good job to keep out top side in the African. Remember, they are the highly ranked African team on the FIFA loggings. And for minnows like Sierra Leone who are making, actually they're making their debut to the tournament. These are a team that has never been there. So at times, preparing against such a team, the coaches might have a very hard time because they don't know the team. And that's why they are able to trouble Algeria, because nobody knows them. But my fear is whatever they did yesterday, yes, worked. But going to the tournament, no.
It won't take them that far.
It won't take them
because
far.
there was a lot of gambling going on there.
Yeah. They were simply trying to keep away Algeria, but they offered nothing in terms of attacking. They played. I feel like they played without purpose or ambition of winning or scoring into that game. Their joy was just actually to contain Algeria.
Yeah, which worked.
It worked. But going forward into the other games,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
that is zero.
Let's talk about the star man in that match, that is man of the match, Mohamed Kamara.
Yeah, the goalkeeper.
Let's talk about the performance of Mohamed Kamara yesterday.
Totally spot on. But again, he had a good defense. He was really protected. As much as he faced so many shots, but his defense was in the game, just to ensure that he has enough buffer. But again, going into, as I've told you, going into deeper into the tournament, when he shall be playing the other opponents, yes, they might have had the muscles to go against Algeria. But now when they play the other teams, likely he might tire. He might not be able to replicate the same game. If he doesn't do so, does Sierra Leone has the strikers to score the goals? Because they need the goals.
Yeah.
Defending alone is not going to help them to progress. They needed goals, which they are not showing at the moment. But for the goalkeeper, he played a very good game, keeping the Algerian strikers out of bay for the entire game yesterday.
Okay. I know Algeria have played, and we mentioned this when we were talking about the analysis yesterday, that Algeria coming into this competition having a streak, a 40-game streak, not having lost any game in the continent, that is the World Cup qualifiers and the AFCON qualifiers. So where do you think their draw yesterday places them in their table standing? Do you think it has a bearing, or?
It doesn't have a very big bearing, because likely they might scrap off and qualify for the next phase. But now how they pick themselves up after the draw is what is going to matter a lot, because this is a tournament, and you can get a team that is very stubborn. Yes, you pick a point. You need now to see if this point can help you to maybe to give you morale going into the other two games that they are going to play. So depending on how they're going to pick themselves up is what will show what happens in the other phase. But so far you can see that many teams are not scoring goals, so it might not be a problem for Algeria alone. Yeah.
So it's something that cuts across all the teams.
It's cutting across.
In their respective
it's cutting across. Even for Senegal, yes, they scored against Zimbabwe,
which was luck, by the
last
way.
minute penalty, pure luck. So it's really not so much out of them.
Okay, so I think our viewers, it's time for us to switch gears into the upcoming matches which you're going to be talking about. And in case you're wondering which games are going to be played, that is tonight at 7 and at 10 p.m. The following are just some of the games that are going to be played. That is Mauritania versus Gambia are going to be playing tonight, and Equatorial Guinea versus Ivory Coast. Those are the games that are going to be played today. That is Equatorial Guinea kicks off. The game kicks off at exactly 10 p.m. Kenyan time. Shilenje, very quickly as we wrap up our analysis for today, key games are going to be played. Mauritania versus Gambia. Those are not very abled teams. Let's just say what it is. Like, they're not tough competitors in the African tournament. Maybe just before we talk about Gambia and Mauritania, since I see we have Nicolas Pepe on our screen right here, that is the Ivory Coast. Let us talk about the Ivory Coast versus Equatorial Guinea game that is going to be played at 10 p.m. Then we go to the Mauritania game. Pepe is going to be in the squad tonight. Any surprises you're expecting in the game tonight?
I don't think there'll be so many surprises, because given how the tournament has been progressing so far, if a team like Equatorial Guinea can master a draw, or maybe by luck a win against Ivory, it won't be so much surprise, given how the tournament has been going far. But going to the game, Cote d'Ivoire are clear favorites in terms of the experience, in terms of the team that they have. Remember, they are 2 times champions for AFCON. In their run to their last triumph, which was in 2015, they beat Equatorial Guinea at the semi-finals, and I think that history is bound to haunt Equatorial Guinea same way today when they face Ivory. Ivory are having a very good squad. They are littered with the best players across Europe. The likes of Frank Casey is in the team, as you've said, Nicolas Pepe, Eric Bailey, Aman Diallo. They have so many good players. Even Sebastian Haller, who is doing very well at Ajax at the moment. They have everything working for them that can enable them to outshine Equatorial Guinea. So I give them a lot of chance to beat Equatorial Guinea today and maybe lead the group.
Yeah, still continuing on the conversation of Ivory Coast. One thing that whenever you mention Ivory Coast, they were quite a very strong team in the early 2000s. You mentioned a host of so many big names in the team right now. Do you think that team has the ability to transform the squad back to where it was then?
It's a problem that has really troubled Ivory for so long, for so many years, in that they have top talents, but when it comes to turning the talents into a team, they really struggle. We've seen the likes of Didier Drogba, the likes of Emmanuel Eboué, the likes of Toure brothers. They had so many good players, but now turning those players into a team has been really troubling. So it's something we need to maybe look at this tournament with the new, their coach Bomey is a Frenchman, is a man who understands the game. We need to see whether he can really turn Ivory into a strong team, contending team, if he can do so or not, because in terms of players, in terms of talents, they really have them. But now having a team is a big challenge that Ivory has had along the years.
Maybe as we wrap up the conversation on Ivory Coast, the game tonight, the Ivory Coast, we've not talked about this. We were supposed to talk about it yesterday, and we didn't, but I wanted us to touch briefly on it. I wanted you to rate the influence of African players in the AFCON tournament. We already had, yesterday when you were talking, we were analyzing Keita's performance influence in the game. Do you think the African players are going to take their teams to where they ought to be in this tournament?
Yeah, I feel to some point they will. When the rubber meets the road and things get thick, we need maybe the individual brilliance for maybe our team to win a game. I think at some point they will, but at the moment, the only team I've seen play, the only team that have replicated their European form is Nigeria. Nigeria's game yesterday against Egypt was very top-notch. It's a game where every team wanted to win. They were not defending or doing what, a very open game.
Though the tactics were a bit on that, because if you see Egypt went for a 3-4-3 formation. Yes. They were determined to win that game, but then the dynamics, I guess, changed.
Yeah. If you can feel like really the tactics, maybe the Nigerians' tactics did outwit Egypt, but the intent is both teams wanted to win, and that has been the game of the tournament so far. And I feel like yesterday the European best players for Nigeria, Kelechi Iheanacho, Moses Simon, Chikwueze, the likes of Ndindi turned up for Nigeria, and they enabled Nigeria to beat Egypt. And along the way, I expect these other players, the likes of Sadio Mane, Mohamed Salah, Trezeguet, Keita, to come up to rescue their teams when they really need. And I know at some point, yes, they're going to click.
Okay. Shilenja, I mentioned the game that was going to be played. That was, I beg your pardon, that was Mauritania versus Gambia. Very quickly, as we finish up this conversation, how would you rate this particular game? What's the scoreline that you think this game is going to end at the final whistle?
Mauritania is making their second berth of the tournament. Gambia is their debut, and these are the low-ranked sides going into the tournament. Among the teams, they are very lowly ranked, and I expect a game maybe without pressure because they're not playing a big team. But again, these are the kind of teams that have really not shown a good game into this tournament. The likes of Sudan, when Sudan was playing, which team they played yesterday?
Equatorial Guinea.
Guinea-Bissau.
Guinea-Bissau.
Yes, it was Guinea-Bissau. is a game that they did nothing, just apart from playing for 1 point of 0-0. These are the same kind of game I expect out of Mauritania against
Mauritania versus Gambia.
Versus Gambia, yes. Given that these are teams that really are trying to hold on to themselves, they're trying to safeguard, they're avoiding defeat. They're likely to play into that kind of draw. And if we have to see goals, maybe is one team winning just by a goal.
Okay,
yeah,
that's how. It's always nice having you, Shilenje, on the show. We are going to be here again tomorrow to make sense of what will have happened in the matches tonight. Well, that's all the time that we had on the AFCON Highlights edition today on Metropole TV. Do see you, hoping to see you again tomorrow, same place, same time.